Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Hi folks, today we are going to be doing our introduction to perspective drawing. With this, we're going to be doing what's called exploding boxes. It's pretty much the basic introduction to using perspective and learning how the corners of something that you draw go back to one central point. So you can think of this as kind of converging lines that converge into one point, and that's why we call this one-point perspective. Now, what I'm going to do to make this a lot easier for myself, and what I suggest you do, is you want your paper nice and straight. So I lined it up with the kind of like edge of the table here, and then I'm just putting 2 little pieces of tape up on the top corner so that my paper is not spinning all around. What I'm also going to need is, of course, a pencil and a ruler. If you have a T-square at home, it looks like a giant letter T, you can also use that. But what I would start with first is your ruler. Now the first thing that we want to do is we want to put our eye level line in there. Now an eye level line is just an imaginary line. It can move. So if you're standing up, your eye level line would be higher. If you're sitting down, your eye level line might be lower. We want to put our eye level line on this paper right in the middle to make it a lot easier. So when I'm measuring, I'm putting the edge of my ruler right here, and I'm measuring it all the way through, and it says that it's 9 inches. So half of 9 would be 4.5. So I come down, I find 4, and then I find the big line in between, 5. Now you can also count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that would be 8. So count back 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're at the big line. Now all I'm going to do is make a tiny little dot. I don't need a big spot, and I forgot that you can't see it on the camera, so I'm just going to put a dot right there at 4.5 inches. Now the important thing is don't flip your ruler around and measure up this way. You want to measure the same direction every time. So I put my ruler up into there and I find 4.5, just like I did before, and I make another little dot. These are not vanishing points, these are just so that we can draw a straight line. There's an old saying, measure twice, so you only have to cut once. Well, same thing here. We want 2 little dots here so that we have a nice straight line, and it's not going up, it's not going down, it's not going all over the place. Next, we're going to connect these lines together, and we're going to label this our ELL, our eye level line. Once again, this is your eye level line. Some people call it a horizon line, ground line, but I like to call it an eye level line because it reminds you that you can move this line around depending on what you're trying to draw. Now, right in the middle is where we want to put our vanishing point. So if we have 12 inches here, half of 12 is, you got it, 6. So I'm going to make a dot at the number 6. Now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that I know that's the spot I need to go to. Think of it as like a bullseye with an archery target. Everything that we shoot towards that is going to go right into there. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to make some boxes. We're going to make some boxes above our eye level line, on our eye level line, and below our eye level line. Now the boxes I'm going to actually draw out in red so that you can see where they are. Now if I put my ruler here, and what I'm doing here is I'm just putting my ruler at the top, I'm sliding it down a tiny little bit, just so that it stays straight. I don't want it really crooked like that. So I just put my ruler at the top and I just bring both hands down to try to get it a little bit of space here. If you can't measure it, like use your pencil, give yourself at least a pencil or 2 width in there, or even like a thumb's width up at the top. You just need a little bit of space on the top. And we're going to put in a few boxes. We're going to go from 1 to 3, 5 to 7, 9 to 11. So that was 1 to 3, 5 to 7, 9 to 11. Now the best thing to do is with your ruler there, just jump down to the other side. So because I have inches on both sides of this ruler, I can look at this and say, okay, my next one has to go 17, 16, 15. So 17 to 15, 13, 12, 11. So 13 down to 11. And then this one is actually 9, but it looks like a 6. So 9, 8, 7. And what that does is it gives us a set of equal signs. So once again, those measurements on the top were 1 to 3, 5 to 7, 9 to 11. And then we went 17 to 15, 13 to 11, 9 to 7. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide right down, and in the middle, so my ruler has a little almost like viewing port right there in the middle. So I'm going to make sure that line's in the middle, and I'm just going to go 1 to 3 and 9 to 11. We're going to skip the middle because that's where our vanishing point is. And then I just drop down and I go 9, 8, 7, and then 17, 16, 15. Oh, looks like I made that one a little bit too long. So if you make it a little bit too long, that's okay. Just extend it out a little bit. And then I'm going to bring it all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to slide it up a tiny little bit, and I'm going to do the same exact thing I just did. 1 to 3, 5 to 7, 9 to 11, and then with your ruler there, just drop underneath, and you want to do the same line, 17 to 15, 13 to 11, 9 to 7. If you missed any of those, please, please, please pause the video, go back. I said the measurements a whole bunch of times, but if I was going too quick, just go ahead and rewind a little bit so that you can get all of your measurements in. So now what we have are a whole bunch of equal signs. Now we want to make these into our boxes. And with our boxes, I like using the T-square for this. There's a few different types of T-squares. It basically looks like the letter T. If you don't have a T-square, a regular ruler works perfectly fine too. So let me get set up with the T-squares, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, folks, with the T-squares. Now I'm going to still use the color red so that you can see what we're going to do. The T-square basically sits against the edge of the table. Now you don't want it the flat side up where it's kind of wobbly, because then it's not going to do its job. So I think I can show you a little bit better with this one, because it grabs a hold of the table a little bit better. So all I have to do with the T-square, because it grabs the table, it keeps it nice and square, and that's why we call it a square, because it has a 90-degree angle there. We put our pencil at the top, and we just connect the box. Slide it over until you see the ends, connect the box. Slide it over, connect the box. Once again, there's no measuring involved here. We just want to keep these nice and straight. Sometimes you get lucky and they all line up, and then you don't have to move it as much. So I got really lucky with those. Those all lined up nice. That lined up. That lined up. And then we get the last little bit. Last two. And now we have our boxes. So next we're going to go back to our ruler. Now think of your vanishing point as almost the hands of a clock. So a clock hands would be spinning around, and they travel all around, but they start in one central spot. Same thing here. Everything that we can see corner-wise will be going back to that one spot. Now I'm going to put little green dots on the corners that we need to do, so that you can tell which ones you have to do. So the green means go. If it's right over, we're going to have them there, there, there. We'll have them here, and here, and here, 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 here. So these are the spots. These green spots are the dots that are going to go back to our vanishing point. Once again, every single line that has a green dot goes here. It all goes to that one point. If you can get that, then you understand perspective drawing. So we are going to put our ruler so that it touches the corner, and it touches the point. When I have a pencil, what I do is I put my pencil right on the corner, and then I just move my ruler up until it hits the point. With the Sharpie, I'm going to try to do that too. So my first line goes right back to my point. I go up to my next corner. It comes in. Next corner. It comes in. So now I have my first kind of flying box coming out at us. And I just keep moving my ruler around. I put my pencil on the corner and bring it right back to the vanishing point. I find I can do a better straight line by pulling it instead of kind of pushing it. So when I do the middle, I just have these two. They're going to go right into the sides. Let's see. Let's get that one in. Come on. There we go. All right. Here's another one. You can see we're getting there. So with this one, what I find it easier to do is, once again, pull towards you. That way you can put your pencil right on the vanishing point and pull. By pulling it, you get a much straighter line. So I have a few more I got to do here. 3 more, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, now we have all of our lines going back to this point. So this might look like you're flying over the tops of buildings. Well, that's how comic book artists draw, you know, Superman or Spider-Man sitting up on buildings, and it looks like you're looking down at a street. You just learned how to do that. If you wanted to know how to shrink something as it goes back, like a car, and you added wheels and you added the top part of the car, once again, that's how comic book artists do that. So this is a very, very useful tool. Let me get set up and I'll show you how to actually make them into boxes, because there is a little trick with them, and the T-square helps tremendously. If you don't have a T-square, once again, ruler works perfectly fine. But let me get set up for that. Okay, for the next part, we're going to do our boxes. Now, the trick with the boxes is we need to make something that looks, so if this is our box and it's going back to our vanishing point. Whoop, I forgot you can't see that on there. So if that's our vanishing point, this is our box going back. We need to make sure we do this shape, down and across. Because this front of the box has to match the back of the box. We don't want to do something like this where it comes down and then breaks. So it's definitely an L shape, because you have that 90-degree angle. It's not something that's broken, like a broken L. So that's what we want to really watch with this. And that's why I like using the T-squares, because it helps me do the first part right. Now, we're going to do the sides of the boxes, not the tops, not the bottoms yet. So the way that we do this is we just take our T-square, we have it lined up. You can see it's still nice and straight because we taped that paper down. We slide it over and we say, okay, that's how big I want my box. This is the side. I'm just going to do the straight line there and do the straight line there. These are tops and bottoms. I don't need to do those. I slide over a little bit more. I'm just going to do my side and my side. So you can see I have my sides done. Oh, I did not do my side here. Let's do this one right there and right there. So now I have the sides of all my boxes done. That's important because that's the tall part. That's any type of building or tree or anything in your picture that has to go tall, has to be nice and straight. Then, because we had our paper nice and straight, we can turn our T-square sideways and we can draw our boxes in. We can draw our boxes in. We can just bring that up a tiny little bit, draw our box, and draw our box. And now what we have is we have all of these boxes kind of flying out at us until you realize you forgot to. I have that one, and I have that one. So now we have all of our boxes kind of flying out towards us. See, if I had a pencil, what I like to do is I just like to erase a little bit of the tails, I call these, going back, and it looks like they're flying out towards you. The neat thing to do too is that you can also shade these. So if you keep the front kind of light, you do the sides medium, and you do the bottom dark, it really makes it look 3D, and it makes it look like it's really flying out towards you. But this is our introduction to perspective drawing. This is exploding boxes because it looks like they're flying out towards you. Good luck with these. If you get stuck, once again, rewind. I know there's a lot of measurements involved there, but I think you can figure it out if you rewind a little bit. If you don't have a T-square, the trick with this is to make sure your paper is nice and straight and put your ruler on the edge of the paper so that it's not crooked. You put the edge of the ruler right there, and that way you can see it still works like a T-square. I still have that same line as long as I keep it even with the edge of the paper. So good luck with this. Can't wait to see what you do. Have a great day, folks.